Uh-oh. Something y'all know I had to at least talk about a little bit. Yeah, so the Biden Ukraine exec story gets deeper. Now they have emails. They pretty much prove that Biden was lying when he said he had nothing to do with Burisma. He didn't even know, and he never talked to his son about it. We all knew that was BS. We just didn't have a smoking gun. Well, these emails have leaked, and they're the smoking gun. And I'm saying that they're factual because of the fact that the Biden campaign actually did not dispute the authenticity. So I take that as meaning that they're not really in question. I think Reuters had part of this story as well. So this is legit. This is a real thing that happened. And it turns out, now the thing is it's basically, a lot of it is, here's the introduction. Here trying to introduce you to all these different people from Burisma, as Hunter Biden does. And basically, it basically just admits Hunter Biden is on the board because he's basically influential. And the Bidens are selling their influence. Okay. All right. That's pretty bad. Was there a meeting though? You can just keep hearing the goalpost moved, and the Biden campaign is out there now. They're saying the next most believable lie, which is, yeah, so the meeting was arranged, but he never went to it. Maybe it stopped there, but here's the thing: Joe's been lying about this from the beginning, and the fact that this stuff even exists here, it doesn't look good. And you know what? And it doesn't matter if he went through with it or not. We know he basically told them, back off investigating my son's company or you don't get that $1 billion loan guarantee. So that was already bad and shady. And then on top of all those things, he lied about not knowing anything about Burisma or not talking to his son about it. We know it now, right? So whatever. He had connections and he wanted his son to recover because he was a crack addict. And, whatever. You can get your son a cushy job at a Ukrainian oil exec place. I kind of can empathize with that, right? But he lied about it. He lied about it. I mean, he was selling his influence. And that's the thing. The Clintons do this. The Obamas do this. They all do this, right? And the Bidens were no different. That's why he was worth so much more when he left office as vice president than when he entered as a senator. So, if you go through the New York Post article, it shows a lot of stuff. It looks like some of these pictures, this has been updated. Photos from Hunter Biden's hard drive. That's quite the photo. That's the story, basically. Biden's been lying the whole time, and now we have the smoking gun proof that he's been lying the whole time. And they're going to have to walk it back. Now, here's the thing. And this is the mistake that the Democrats made. I should say that the social media people trying to help the Democrats made. Democrats, your average Democrat voter, particularly the ones that are going to be dependably voting Democrat because they have TDS, they do not care about this story. It doesn't matter. Because to them, Trump is some sort of Russian puppet, traitor, evil orange Hitler dude, and they really don't care or just simply will refuse to believe, even if the evidence is right in front of them, that Joe Biden is anything but the better alternative to Donald Trump. It doesn't matter to these people, right? But who it does matter to are people who are on the fence, people who are maybe, disenchanted by the Democrat Party and want to see them lose, but they're not willing to vote for Trump because, they don't really like the Republicans either. They see something like this, and then that's going to motivate them to say, I think we should punish the Democrats. Like, I want them to lose more than I want Trump to win. That's what this kind of story accelerates, right? Which, again, that's the Democrats' entire strategy is the inverse of that, where it's basically they just want to get enough people who want Trump to lose, not necessarily for Biden to win. That's why Biden's not out there really campaigning or doing anything, because he's not. He's got dementia and he's old, and they're just running the husk of the generic Democrat versus evil orange super Hitler. So that's their entire strategy. This kind of throws a wrench in that because it makes their guy actually visible. Now, immediately when this story came out, I had heard of it, but I didn't look into it. And then all of a sudden, Facebook starts banning it. Facebook starts putting alerts on it. They start not allowing you to share it, not allowing you to spread it. And then I tried to tweet it out on Twitter, and first I got a "you can't do this" because it's what was it? It's harmful. Okay, this is just a story. Now, whether it was unverified or whatever, it's still a story from New York Post. Unverified stuff gets, I mean, the New York Times, they just make things up. They say anonymous sources, and there was somebody today who were saying people familiar with the thinking of the president say it's like that's completely valueless, and that's, are you employing psychics? Because that's valueless. And now, if you try to follow that URL, I believe this is the link, I think, from Donald Trump Jr.'s page, his Twitter feed, you get this stuff. They're saying it could be sure you really sure you want to look at this, citizen, because this could be damaging, and they're just lying. Oh, it looks spammy. No, it's not spammy at all because it goes to the New York Post website. Violent or misleading content could lead to real world harm. Well, we know it's not violent content, and if you're saying misleading content could lead to real world harm, are you a publisher? Are you a publisher, Twitter? Do you get to decide what is misleading content? Do you get the fact check and do all this stuff? It makes sense that you would have a system in place that stops you wouldn't want child pornography or snuff films or something being shared readily, right? And you do want to have a certain amount of content control when it comes to adult content versus non-adult content. That kind of stuff makes sense. So it makes sense those tools exist. Also, somebody spreading a link that's like a link to a virus or something, or one of those ones that hijacks the account and then retweets, click this and claim your 10,000 Bitcoin or something, right? It makes sense those mechanisms are in place, but that's not what these mechanisms are being used for. It's being used for stuff like this, to steal personal information. None of these things fit. Post your see, and now they're threatening, if you share this could violate Twitter's rules. You might get kicked off the platform, for having the wrong opinions, for sharing the wrong kind of information. Are you hurting people with the information you're sharing? And it's kind of scary, right? I mean, that's some 1984 level newspeak kind of stuff going on. And the thing is that I get that they're going to have tools like this because sometimes you do need to actually lay the hammer down because you don't want something like a virus going wild across Twitter. But they're using these tools to literally be basically as tools of oppression to suppress information that might be harmful to the person they want to win the election. There are so many Trump conspiracies, and there are so many ridiculous things that are said about the president and his kids, particularly, the Russia stuff. That's a good example, right? No evidence whatsoever to back it up. Crazy, insane, harmful things, right? And they just let that fly. They let that fly. They don't care. But if you say something about hydroxychloroquine, or if you, in this case, share a story that's truly devastating to the Biden's credibility, it's too close to the election, we got to vet this first. And what they've done, though, is by basically trying to block it, they've now made it a viral story. Let's see. I could probably just scroll down and people are going to be, yep. There we go. That got posted. Boom. And she got locked. Double standard. See, now everybody's talking about it. Let's see. I don't know, Timcast. But they're either talking about basically the shit show that is the confirmation hearings, because just Democrats making a fool of themselves. And we don't deserve somebody as smart as Amy Coney Barrett. We really don't. With the people we've elected to the Senate, it makes me feel kind of ashamed that she even has to sit through their mindlessness. But in terms of stuff they're talking about, artwork and Biden stuff, and I follow a lot of artists and stuff. But now everybody's talking about this. Did not push out a Ukrainian prosecutor for investigation of his son, the Washington Post confirms. Wrong. Wrong. That's at the top. Okay, look what's trending already. This wouldn't even be a story, and the Washington Post wouldn't need to be basically lying to cover him. Let's see what the Washington Post says, right? Series of emails obtained by the New York Post were published on Wednesday in a story alleging that Hunter Biden, the son of Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, introduced his father to a top executive at Ukrainian energy firm Burisma. And according to the Washington Post, then Vice President Biden played no role in pressuring Ukrainian officials to fire the prosecutor, who was not investigating the energy firm. Who also was not investigating the energy firm. Also doesn't tell what. See, this is crap. This is crap. They're lying. They're straight up being misleading and lying. But Twitter wants that to put at the top, right? Because they got to, they got to say, oh no, I know you're reading these emails, but it doesn't say what you think it says. Biden couldn't, we proved. What does it say? They confirm that he didn't push him out, push that prosecutor out, despite the fact that Biden himself even told the story about how he had the prosecutor pushed out because he didn't like him. And he wasn't investigating Burisma, except that he was, and the investigation was shut down and basically burned because, that's what happens when you put in corrupt people. They bury old investigations. This is crap. This is what Twitter wants you to see. This is their damage control. Some partisan hack at the Washington Post. But that's not the case, right? Let's say New York Post stories some were tweeting about has a huge falsehood in it. Claims Biden pushed for ouster of Ukrainian prosecutor when he was investigating Burisma. Flatly false. And our ouster was backed by international no. See, Greg Sargent. He's lying to you. And what he's lying to you about is he's lying through omission. He's saying, international institutions also backed it, also backed kicking this prosecutor out. So therefore, him saying push it out, oh no, that had nothing to do with it. You don't know that, pal. You don't know that. In fact, that's not the case because Biden himself said that's why he did it, because he didn't like him. And considering the guy was investigating Burisma, now there's a conflict of interest existing. The problem is the conflict of interest. The fact that Biden said he was completely unaware, and he wasn't completely unaware. We know now that he full and damn well knew what his son was doing with Burisma. He fully understood what was going on. It doesn't matter whether he took the meeting or not. He fully understood what was happening. And if he just used it basically saying, well, international institutions justified this, that's why I really made the decision. Greg Sargent, you're a liar. A liar. You putting this forward, how do you sleep at night? Nunez repeats the fall. See, this is, okay, why are these the top things, right? Why is this the top stuff when you click on it, right? Let's see. What else is top? Exonerates Twitter, allows the story. A series of emails by Washington Post implicates him. Twitter bans the story. Yeah, good point. This is more of the raw hashtag use. It's a little harder to cover this kind of stuff up. Oh, Miss Krasenstein. Yeah, which, I'm sure she's probably married to the one brother and probably sleeping with the other one, right? They're a pathetic family right there. Pure remains sole private emails. Okay, yeah, no. So how the hell? Okay, shoot the messenger. That's right. How did Giuliani get it? Yeah, well, you know how Giuliani got it? Because he was on the ground in the Ukraine doing the hard work that basically the FBI didn't want to do. That's how Giuliani ended up with it. And you can't counter what is said in those emails, so you're going to basically shoot the messenger. Screw you. Smoking gun. Here's a screen print of Hunter Biden's emails. Okay. All right. Not so bad. Let's see. Did Katie Mechner, did she get nuked? Let's find out. It seems like she was either discontinued. How the hell do you spell her name? Let's click on White House Press Sec. Let's do a search and see if I can at least have her pop up. Account has been locked. Oh, she's back. This tweet is no longer available. Oh, no. Oh no, her whatever it was that locked her account, I guess she had to delete it in order to get her account back. You tell me that's not election interference? That's 100% election interference. And you know why it's election interference? Because it's only being enforced on one side, and that means basically this Twitter is, if they are actually a platform and not a publisher, this is the same as you picking up your phone and you being on an AT&T phone and you call somebody who's running a Verizon line, and then Verizon doesn't like what you're saying about them or whatever political group, and then they no longer allow you to talk to Verizon phones. Or, you send a text message and AT&T goes, hey, we don't like your that you use this specific phrase. That's hurtful. And then they just either censor it or don't let you send the text. That's what this is. Oh, it's a public forum. Well, yeah, but could you imagine if you went and you tried to print something and the printer said, nope, wrong thing. Sorry, you can't print that. That's offensive and hurtful. That is what this is. That is what this is basically doing. This is saying that here's the press, what essentially stands in for the press, and we're them being the ones who essentially maintain the press. They also then get to decide what is said. There needs to be some sort of legislation about this at some point. It kills me because it's like I would love for just everything to be libertarian and running crazy, right? Because just let stuff happen, right? But that's not what the nature of what occurred. Essentially, we have a bunch of tech oligarchs. We have way too much centralized government power. And basically, these tech people cannot resist, pushing the scales just a little bit for the people that they want because they know so much better than we do. Us peons. Is the story true? You know what? People can judge for themselves, because unless you're going to be basically a fact-checking publishing group and be fact-checking every single thing every single person says, you got no right to step in here and start telling the White House press secretary to delete a tweet. You have any idea how often politicians lie, Twitter? Do you know? How about all that Brett Kavanaugh stuff that was all complete BS? Did you guys censor that come time? Did you censor... Did you censor the stuff that was said about oh my God, what's his name? The kid with the hat at the with the dude with the drum hitting him. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. Sandman, Nick Sandman, right? Did you guys go back and correct the record on that? No, you let people say whatever the hell they want. And guess what? It worked out, because now, Sandman's basically able to sue all these people. You probably would have saved them if you had gone in and actually censored those people. But you shouldn't have done that, and those things were terrible to say for those people to say, and then they're being held accountable for it. Twitter's not getting sued, right? It ain't Twitter's fault. If I take a Bic pen and I write something really offensive or illegal somehow, and I write it on a big piece of paper that's provided by a WB Mason, right? And then I stick that to a pole with a staple gun I bought from Home Depot. Is the paper company, is the Bic pens, is Home Depot liable for that message? Can they get sued because I did something bad? No. And Twitter, if you want to remain to be the guys who are immune to getting sued, then you shouldn't be acting like your publishers. You shouldn't be censoring whether people can put a sign up and say something. You guys should not be doing that. So I will not shed a single tear when basically the government inevitably screws things up, comes in and basically lays down the regulatory hammer and makes things probably a little worse. But then these billionaire oligarchs and social media clowns, they have to put up with the headache of dancing around all the new regulations and stuff. I'll criticize it when it happens, but I do not shed a tear for when, if Jack loses his billions of dollars because he gets sued because he's acting as a publisher. I hope that whoever's doing this goes to jail. I really do, because you basically, what Jack should be doing is he should be suing the employees who acted on their own to essentially stop, to almost deliberately sabotage Twitter's Section 230 protection, right? If he took that angle, and if he said, we're going to fire anybody who's involved with this, then maybe he could gain some respect back, right? But that's not what he's doing. He's defending. He's saying, no, these are Twitter's decisions. Oh, you want Twitter to own those decisions? Well, then guess what? You're acting as a publisher, and maybe you'll get sued, maybe you won't, but that means Section 230 is going to be yoinked on you, and then, you're going to lose, at least you'll lose your platform, because you're not going to control it anymore if it acts as a publisher. So we'll see what happens, right? But that's all. That's why this story is as big as it is. Because this itself, Democrats don't care about this. Democrats don't care about this, and the average person doesn't even know what's going on with Burisma and Ukraine. The only thing they know is that Trump, Ukrainian phone call, oil oligarchs, Putin impeachment. That's what they know the buzzwords. They don't know actually what's going on with this. Now more people than ever know what it is, because they're saying, wait a minute, this is forbidden information. So then they read it and they say, I don't understand. And then they dig and they dig and they dig. This is the kind of thing, I mean, I guess I could be grateful for it, because it's, it's the Streisand effect. It just made things 1,000 times worse for Biden. This would be a 4-day story and a talking point that Trump brings up at debate number 3, that the Bidens then have, a week and a half to prepare whatever spin they need to deflect it, because, the moderator's not going to ask about it, right? That's what this was going to be. But now it's a international story, and it's on the consciousness of everybody. And everybody on the right are going to basically go and read this story. Everybody in the middle is going to go read this story, and everybody on the left is going to have to deal with this, because this has now been elevated. It may not be accurate, right? Let's just say, like, somehow by some miracle it's not accurate, right? Even though the Biden camp didn't dispute it, right? It doesn't matter, because people are going to take it as accurate, because generally things that are sent they push this hard to censor usually have a lot of truth in them. Usually. That's why, for example, like, the conspiracy theory videos and stuff on YouTube, they crack down on that. Why? Why would you do that? You have lent credibility to it. Why do you think there's so many anti-vaxxers? Because if you talk about any kind of anti-vax thing, or if you question vaccines at all, a vaccine, let alone vaccines in general, you get the absolute banhammer from whatever platform you're talking about. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm very pro-vaccine. I don't believe it causes autism or any of this other stuff. I think there are questions to be answered, but I'm not by no means an anti-vaxxer. But when I see somebody who's an anti-vaxxer get their account nuked from orbit because, basically the Zuck doesn't like what they have to say, that makes me a lot more interested in what they have to say. So this is the same exact effect is going to happen here. And I can only hope that basically the Democrats haven't locked in the cheating so tough in the swing states that we can actually overcome this, because this is insane. So that's all.